You're listening to Puma Podcast.
For International Women's Month, we revisit a forum held last July 2023, which had invited women judges from different countries to talk about making the judiciary more inclusive.
Hi, I'm Bella Perez Rubio, Puma Podcast, and you're listening to Teka Teka News. In this episode,
So we need to get rid of all these shackles, and we need your help, and we need more judges, and all the Chief Justices, and with all due respect, we need more women Chief Justices. Why are all the Chief Justices male?
high-ranking women judges make the case for equal representation in the justice system.
Why are having more women judges benefits all of society? And for us to be here at The Hague, which is also known as the judicial capital of the world, that tells you that in 2023, something that you would have thought is a non-issue, that women have gone past all that, we can still be asking this kind of question.
That's Nigerian Supreme Court Justice Amina Augie. She was speaking at the Forum for Women Judges held at The Hague in July 2023. The Hague Talks event, titled Why Having More Women Judges Benefits All of Society, featured a panel of high-ranking women jurists from Africa.
I retire on the 3rd of September this year, when I reach 70, and by that time it meant I would have worked for the federal government of Nigeria for 45 years.
Justice Amina's distinguished place as one of the only 6 women to serve in Nigeria's Supreme Court was hard-won. When she began her judicial career in 1988, societal barriers quickly made themselves known.
I was a lecturer at the Nigerian Law School in Lagos, and my husband moved me to his state in Sokoto at that time for his own reasons. So I moved to Sokoto as a chief magistrate in 1988. Now, by 1991, there was state's creation. So that state was split into 2, and I had to now move to his own state in 1991. In 1992, this first state, Sokoto that is, now needed judges because most of the judges had moved to this new state. The chief judge of that state turns up in the house, asks me for my husband, and I took him there. Apparently, what he came to ask him for was permission to send up my name as a judge of Sokoto State. It's his decision, didn't tell me, didn't ask me. When he was then a senator in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, so when his home state heard that Sokoto was trying to get me as a judge, they said, how can you be a senator and your wife is going to work in when the state creates the enmity that comes when you have one state created into 2. How can you be? No, tell her to wait. We will appoint her. We're in the process, so we will wait. So there I was. Nobody asked me. He didn't discuss it with me because it was not my decision to make. So my fate is being decided as to which state should I work for as a judge, that one or this one. So I can't even ask. So this is how I waited. Now, Sokoto did a very smart thing. While these ones were dilly-dallying, because it's his home state, so they were not in a hurry, this state now issues me a letter of appointment, May 19th, 1992. And the letter says I'll be sworn in on the 26th of May, 1992. Up till Friday, before that Monday, nobody had asked me. My husband had not discussed it with me. I didn't know whether I was going to take on the appointment or whether I was going to wait here. So Friday, and I actually waited because they would ask you, how do you do that? But a wife is a wife. And there are certain dynamics in a marriage that you have to. I just couldn't ask. So what is my fate? What have you decided? So Friday, he goes into a cyber cafe. I'm seated in the car. Half an hour or so, comes back and offers me a letter. And what did I read? To the chief judge of Kebbi State that it was an honor and privilege to have served the state as a chief magistrate, but I'm accepting the offer of Sokoto. So there I was on a Friday, That's when I knew I was now going to be a High Court judge on Monday. Bottom line is that if that could happen to me in a family setting, husband and wife, can you imagine that replicated in society, in the community, in everywhere? Things have changed a lot, but things are still the same in a lot of places. Basically, my last thing to say would be that a lot of women, when we think of the sociological barrier, a lot of women have locked themselves in a mental prison and that they can't imagine getting out of, because it's all auto-exclusion. Nobody stopped you from being a judge. Nobody stopped you from aspiring. But you have stopped yourself because inside your head, you just don't believe that it could happen or that you could be a judge at all. And so you just step back.
But for all the difficulties she faced, Justice Amina has also seen progress in leaps and bounds over the course of her career.
Nigeria, when I was telling you my story, that was in 1992. We are a success story when it comes to women judges. It's the men that want to, are now the one fighting to get a foothold in the place because we have taken over the entire judiciary. By the time I was elevated to this Court of Appeal in 2002, first of all, because of bad pay, remember judges were not really paid very well in terms of the type of money the men make when they are lawyers. So a lot of men found it easier to pursue the money and not the work. First of all, your lifestyle is changed. You don't have enough pay. You can't socialize. You can't do this. You can't do that. So they preferred to go there. Then they just woke up and the women had taken over the judiciary. We have a state, Lagos State, if I approximate that they have 60 judges, they have more, yes. But if you say they have 60 judges, 50, 51, 52 are women. The rest are men. The men are so few, And then we now infiltrated the Court of Appeal. The last place to fall was the Supreme Court. They were like, no, at that time, 17 men, 17. So they were forced to, I think by 2006, to get the first woman. And by the time I got there in 2016, I was the sixth woman. And they've retired and gone. I have two now behind me. And right now, we're only four left, but there are appointments because we're still short-staffed. So we are a success story in that regard.
We hear more from women jurists after a quick break.
So Africa has the largest number of women heading constitutional courts and acting as chief justices. On average, 4 in 10 judges in Africa are women. So that's, in a way, good news.
That's Aggie Verez, director of the United Nations Development Program Office in Geneva, sharing the findings of her office's study on women's participation in Africa's justice system.
At the same time, I think, hearing from your stories and looking at the data, overall women's representation in justice in the continent remains relatively low. So there's still a lot of work ahead of us to bring a transformation forward.
The situation in the Philippines bears some resemblance to the one Justice Amina Ogi describes in Nigeria. Filipina judges outnumber men 1,153 to 984, according to Supreme Court data as of 2022. But in the SC, the Court of Appeals, and the Sandigan Bayan, men continue to outnumber women. The underrepresentation is most severe in our highest court, where there are only 2 women justices out of a total of 15. So what continues to stand in women jurists' way? Here are more findings from the UNDP.
The first obstacle that women face when trying to enter the justice sector are societal barriers, and that's exactly, I think, where all of you alluded to. What we found is one of the main barriers is actually entering the education system for this track and face the negative societal norms and in many cases discriminatory recruitment processes as well. And once we see women actually enter the justice system, women face additional barriers at the legal frameworks and work environment as well. These environments and the circumstances are not particularly adapted to additional family and societal roles that women are also expected to fulfill, including the lack of work and family balance. When asked in our consultations what are the main barriers pointed by women, were the relocation, 44%, harassment, 41%, and security concerns, 37%. So these three main reasons are basically taking up the main set of barriers for women to enter the justice system. And then as we look forward to advancing in the career, to progress in their career and get leadership positions, Honorable Judge Ogi mentioned the glass ceiling, and that's exactly what we are seeing, that the women encounter legal barriers, lack of institutional transparency, and moreover, a lack of political will to provide the opportunities in fair conditions for women to advance in this sector. Nevertheless, I think despite this challenging context, there are, of course, very positive lessons learned and very good examples. And I think we need to look at these good examples as not just pockets of success, but trends that we can connect together and that actually give us a really good torchlight ahead to see how we can address the situation collectively.
But why is it so crucial to make sure women are well represented in the justice system in the first place? Here's Salome Bossa, a Ugandan judge on the International Criminal Court.
I became a lawyer because my father was a lawyer and his brother following him was also a lawyer. But I was not prepared for the societal obligations that are cast on a lawyer and a judge in a society which is largely illiterate, which is poor, and which may be neglected in some ways, especially the women and children. So I started private practice because my father passed on, God rest his soul. And in this practice then, at that time in the late 1980s, I was one of the few women who practiced law. So the duty to represent indigent women through our Association of Women Lawyers fell on us. So we represented a lot of these women, and that's when my eyes really opened to the gigantic task we face. We have a lot of women out there who are bonded, who are shackled in bonds of the patriarchal society. They have no rights, they have no say, they have no means. I started representing these women and vowed to make a difference in their lives. And that's also how I became a judge at the national level, because I thought that if I joined the bench, I could make decisions really that could uplift these women. And one of the decisions that gives me a lot of pleasure in recalling involved a woman who was married customarily to this man for 30 years. And this man was denying the marriage. He was denying that she was entitled to anything. He just wanted to send her on the street, without a thing. So I declared the marriage valid, and of course, her entitlement to matrimonial property.
Justice Salome Bossa also noted key laws that we have today because women were allowed to climb the ranks of our international justice system.
So yes, you have the famous case which laid down the fact that rape can be genocide. Mm-hmm. Another one laid down the fact that rape can be committed by women.
Yes.
And many more. And up to this moment, women judges continue to make their mark in the jurisprudence of international criminal justice and other courts. We need female chief justices to bring perspectives, and I'm proud to stand here as one of the judges of the International Criminal Court because we have gender parity in the court. We are 8 female judges and 9 male judges at the moment. And we bring perspectives, female perspectives to justice. There are perspectives which males cannot see unless we point them out. So we represent gender representation, we represent gender perspectives, we represent gender justice, so get us on board.
And that was today's episode of Teka Teka News. I'm Ed Faraon. This episode was written by Bella Perez Rubio. This episode was edited by Pidoy Blanco. Our executive producer is Jill Caro, and our senior news editor is Veronica Uy. Follow Teka Teka News on your favorite podcast app, or listen to us for free on YouTube. Thanks for listening.